2000 Dodge Durango and thermostat replacement. I'm Brian Essick from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing it. Okay, to get the thermostat out, what we're going to do is remove the upper radiator hose like this. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the coolant and washer fluid reservoir bottle right here. And to do that, we're going to remove the 10mm bolt here and the 10mm bolt right here, and we're going to use long extensions to get to it. Once the bottle is unbolted, I just lifted it straight up and flipped it out of the side over to the side, and I left everything connected except for the level sensor here. I unplugged it, and it gives you a little bit more room to maneuver the bottle out of the way. But the washer pumps and the hoses and stuff, I left that connected. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the dry belt. So I'm going to torque the tensioner over and take the belt off. To get the serpentine belt off, I'm going to use my gear wrench serpentine belt tool, and it's a pretty cool little tool I use on a daily basis. If you guys don't have one of these, I recommend you getting one. I have them available on my website at howtoautomotive.com on the tools and product page. So to get the belt off, we're going to use a 15mm socket adapter. Hook it onto the little ratchet wrench. We need to figure out which way the serpentine belt operates, and you're going to need the main handle part here. So I'm going to set it up with a straight handle. You can maneuver this in any different way you like, but I'm going to use it in the straight. I'm going to put it on there, and I got it set up where it's going clockwise. So I'll torque it over clockwise and slip the belt off. Now that you got the belt slipped off the alternator, I try not to unroute it. I'll try to just leave everything the way it's routed, and just slip it off right there and just let it hang right there. Now what we're going to do is that you can remove the negative battery cable here. The reason why is we're going to unbolt the alternator and swing it out of the way. I'm not going to unbolt the wires and stuff on the back, but we don't want it to arc out on anything. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the two bolts here and bolt here, and there's going to be a nut that you're going to have to use a wrench on the back side here to back it up. And so go ahead and take the nut and bolt out on the top and bottom, and then you're just going to take the alternator and swing it out of your way. So now I just took the alternator out of its little bracket and just pulled it back toward me as far as I could, and kind of just got it resting in here like that. And that's as far as I'm going to do. That's enough room. So now what we need to do is from the top, we need with the extension, get the two bolts holding the thermostat housing on, and then I'm going to remove this little clamp here, and then remove the nut here and the bolt here, and take this bracket out. So after getting all that out of the way, I was able to just lift the thermostat housing straight off. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to clean this up in a minute. And now we're going to pop the thermostat out, and now with the alternator out of the way, it gives us a lot more room to dig in here and clean it out. So now you're going to do is remove the thermostat the rest of the way and clean out the mating surface where the gaskets ride. So I decided to go ahead and just unplug the electric connector and take the power supply off the alternator, and just go ahead and just remove it all the way. That way I can get my die grinder around the corner here, and I can clean out this. So with the alternator out, now I can get my my die grinder here with a Scotch-Brite pad on here, and I can go ahead and get it in here and clean up the mating surfaces. So I used a combination of a die grinder, a pick, and a scraping tool to clean out the bottom surface here of the intake manifold. Now that's cleaned up, I'm going to set the new thermostat on top of here. So now I'm going to clean up the thermostat housing here and inspect it, make sure it's not pitted or anything and if it's in good shape, we'll reuse it. If it's pitted or in bad shape, we'll recommend replacing it. I went ahead and cleaned off the old gasket material off the thermostat, and it looks to be in pretty good shape. I'm going to reuse it. So I'm also going to be installing a new upper radiator hose, so I'm going to go ahead and take this old hose off. So now I'm going to take my new gasket, and it has the peel-on stick type, and I'm going to glue it basically onto the thermostat housing like this, or stick it on now in this case. If yours doesn't have the glue or the peel-on, you can use like 3M black weather strip adhesive and just a thin little layer of it and put it on there. So my thermostat came out with this little metal tab facing towards the back towards the firewall, so I'm going to put it back in like that. So with the gasket glued on the bottom like that, the thermostat's in there on the groove and it's all cleaned up. I'm just going to slide this around here like this and put it on. And now I'm going to just start the bolts and tighten it down. Now that I got my thermostat and thermostat housing all bolted up and tight, I'm going to go ahead and slip on the new upper radiator hose, and I'm going to use new clamps on it. I'm not going to reuse the old squeeze clamps. So I'm going to leave the alternator off until I get this all bolted up. Now that the hose is on, I'm going to go ahead and put the alternator back in, plug in the electrical connectors and the power supply line again, and go ahead and remount it and bolt it up, and then I'll slip the belt back on. So after putting the alternator back in, the bolts are tight, the belt slipped back on. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put this bracket back on. They went here. Go ahead and put this back on, and the bracket that held the AC lines in place, put those back on. Now I'm going to go ahead and reinstall my negative battery cable. Tighten that down. Go ahead and put our reservoir bottles back in, and they got these little ears on the bottom here on both sides. So they want to make sure those little ears stab into these little hooks here on both sides of the fan rail. And then once it does, you want to swing it into place, and then we're going to put the bolts in. So we're on the corners over here. You also want to double check after you put the bottle on and start the bolts. Double check the electrical connectors and the hoses going to the washer fluid pumps here. Make sure none of that just came disconnected while you were doing the job. So now you can go ahead and reinstall the upper hose to the top of the radiator here and tighten the clamp down. Okay, now we're going to fill it up with 50-50 a mix of water and coolant, and we're going to top off all of our coolant reservoirs here, and our washer reservoir. Most likely it might have spilled out some when we tilted it over. And then we're going to start the car and run it until the thermostat opens up, and most likely our coolant level is going to drop as the thermostat opens up. So then we'll refill it, and the way the thermostat opens up on this vehicle is you'll hold your hand here on the upper hose right here, and as it's running, when it opens up, the warm coolant will come into the upper hose, and most likely you'll also see the coolant level drop. Then you'll top it back off, put your radiator cap back on. You also may want to double check your transmission fluid after doing the radiator. You will lose a couple ounces, so you want to definitely double check that. And then you're going to fill up your coolant and run it until the thermostat opens up. The job of replacing the thermostat on a 2000 Dodge Durango. I'm Brian Esser from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos, encourage you to subscribe, and invite you to come over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this, tools and products. And thank you again very much.